Hi everyone, this is Angelo Macaraeg of 8 Charles from Biotechnology class. In addition, I would like to give my presentation or my aim on why I did this video. First, it's because it's our project. Our master teacher, Myla Velasquez Lalicon, asked us to make a presentation, or rather a unique presentation about our chosen topics in biotechnology. Second, because it is our requirement. So, without any hassle, let's start this. I'm glad to introduce to you my greatest and beautiful topic, human cloning. So, before I start, I should first define what human cloning is. So human cloning is the creation of genetically identical copy or clone of a human. The term is generally used to refer artificial human cloning, which is the reproduction of human cells and tissue. It does not refer to the natural conception and delivery for identical twins. So, in accordance with my research about the ones who is supporting human cloning and averse with it, or the people who is against with cloning, I've come up with this. Okay, let's start first with the people who's supporting human cloning. Number 1, Richard G. Sid. So, Richard G. Sid has 3 degrees from Harvard, including a Ph.D. and a former professor and physicist. The reasons why I concluded him in the person who is supporting human cloning is that, according to him, cloning is a legitimate treatment of infertility. Cloning can be used to replace a lost loved one with a twin, for example, a child accidentally and tragically killed in a car accident. Human cloning will unleash a torrent of research that will benefit mankind by exploding the knowledge of medicine and biology. Human cloning can take a 65-year-old and turn the age of that person back to 0. And bioethicists are naysayers. The bioethicist movement started in 1970s. For the most part, the role of bioethicists in society is to say no to change and to resist progress. Historically, they have been wrong over and over again. Number 2, Nick Bostrom. He is a professor of University of Oxford and director of Future of Humanity Institute. He is also director of Governance of Artificial Intelligence program. In his article about human reproductive cloning from the perspective of the future, he once said that we can work against the transhumanizing developments and join the reactionary forces that decry each new technological breakthrough that changes human nature. Or we can stand by the sidelines and possibly watch the future unfold. Or, and this is I think is the best alternative, we can actively participate in creating a future that will eventually enable us to reach nearly unimaginable levels of human flourishing and well-being through the use of advanced technology. Good enough that he's supporting cloning. And last, rest in peace for his demise, Stephen Hawking, who once said that the fuss about cloning is rather silly. I can't see any essential distinction between cloning and producing brothers and sisters in the time-honored way. And why shouldn't Stephen Hawking feel this way? After all, if genetic engineering had been around in his time, he may... Now, we move on the people who is averse or against with cloning. Moving on, let's start with Dr. Rudolf James. He is a professor of biology at MIT and a founding member of the Whitehead Institute for Biomedical Research, and is a pioneer of transgenic science in which an animal's genetic makeup is altered. So, I concluded him in the person who is against with human cloning because when he is asked by the Nobel staff that if you think that advocates of human cloning or scientists and non-scientists alike have good intentions, and based on his answer, proposing to do human cloning is ludicrous. It's irresponsible. It's dangerous. I doubt it. Just hearing them and knowing them, I think they're totally irresponsible. I don't know if they are after money or if they are after fame or why they spout this nonsense, because it is obvious to everybody in the scientific community that it shouldn't be done. It just startles me. Number 2. Bill Clinton. He is an American politician who served as the 42nd President of the United States from 1993 to 2001. He does not believe federal funds that should be used for human cloning. That's why he banned federal funding for research into cloning human beings. Let us watch this video.
Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed. Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings. Effective immediately, no federal agency may support, fund, or undertake such activity. Of course, a great deal of research and activity in this area is supported by private funds. That is why I am urging the entire scientific and medical community, every foundation, every university, every industry that supports work in this area, to heed the federal government's example. I'm asking for a voluntary moratorium on the cloning of human beings until our Bioethics Advisory Commission and our entire nation have had a real chance to understand and debate the profound ethical implications of the latest advances. As we gain a fuller understanding of this technology, we must proceed not just with caution, but also with a conscience. By insisting that not a single taxpayer dollar supports human cloning, and by urging a moratorium on all private research in this area, we can ensure that as we move forward on this issue, we weigh the concerns of faith and family and philosophy and values, not merely of science alone. Thank you very much.
In my conclusion, I am against cloning because of these 3 reasons. Number 1, because of non-ethical health risks from mutation of genes. For example, an abnormal baby would be like a tragedy. The technique is very risky right now. A particular worry is the possibility that the genetic material used from the adult will continue to age so that the genes in a newborn baby clone could be, say, 30 years old or more on the day of birth. Many attempts at animal cloning produce disfigured monsters with severe abnormalities. So that would mean creating clone embryos, implanting them, and destroying, presumably, those that look imperfect as they grow in the womb. Number 2, non-ethical emotional risk. Unbearable emotional pressures on a teenager trying to establish his or her identity. What happens to a marriage when the father sees his wife clone grow up into the exact replica, by appearance, of the beautiful 18-year-old he fell in love with 35 years ago? A sexual relationship would, of course, be with his wife's twin. No incest involved technically. We will not find a child psychiatrist in the world who could possibly say that there will not be very significant emotional risk to the cloned child as a result of these peer pressures. Number 3, non-ethical risk of abuse of the technology. What would Hitler have done with cloning technology if available in the 1940s? There are powerful leaders in every generation who will seek to abuse this technology for their own purposes. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure to like this video